Why didn't the jet pull up? That's the question that everyone's asking about the Philadelphia jet crash that killed 7. To answer that, we're going to need to look closer at the crash videos and learn something about human anatomy. Most of the videos are too grainy or are taken from too far away, but some of them have some extra clues. This first video is taken from an overpass near the auto zone about 1,000 feet away on Cottman Avenue. If we look closely, we can see 2 wing lights indicating that we're looking at the top of the airplane. Note that the Learjet 55 is a tail-mounted landing light that would illuminate the top of the fuselage. This next video is taken from the other direction over near Bustleton Avenue. While this recording is particularly low quality as it's a screen recording of security camera footage, we can make out 2 distinct bright white lights. The Learjet 55 has lights attached to its landing gear, so this footage might indicate that the landing gear was never retracted. Using these 2 videos as evidence, we can confidently say that the plane was in a hard left bank as it hit the ground. But that begs the question, how did these pilots let the plane bank over that far? To answer that, we're going to need to dig into human anatomy, particularly the vestibulo-ocular system. To maintain balance, humans use 2 systems within the ear. Without getting into too much detail, one of those systems detects how quickly you're turning, and the other detects acceleration, such as from gravity. The first system is responsible for measuring your head's rotational movement, but it's susceptible to various measurement errors, as you'll know if you've ever spun yourself too fast on a merry-go-round. This can lead you to believe that you're turning when you're not, or believe you're stationary when you're actually turning. But the ear has a second system that detects linear acceleration. When you're standing on the ground, gravity is pulling down, so the system is able to feel that you're standing upright. But if you turn your head skyward, that gravity is now pulling towards the back of your head, and thus your brain interprets it as you're looking upwards. But that system can be deceived. If you're accelerating in level movement, such as in a fast car or an accelerating jet, your brain can misinterpret that and believe you're looking upwards. But the brain has one more trick up its sleeve, and that's the Mark I eyeball. Even when both of these systems are being fooled, your eyes can see movement around you and apply a correction. But that's only true if you have a visual reference. In Philadelphia, immediately after takeoff, they flew into fog, losing all reference to the ground. With the plane accelerating so fast, the pilots would have felt that the plane was climbing even when it was leveling off. A slow roll to the left likely wouldn't have even been felt, and any slight back pressure would have induced enough G-force to make the pilots feel like they were flying upright. They may not have even known the plane was facing the ground until it popped out of the clouds just a mere few hundred feet off the ground. All instrument-capable planes are required to have a gyroscope-based artificial horizon. This allows pilots to reference the instrument when they can't see the ground and tell if they're climbing, descending, or even rolling. But this isn't foolproof. Pilots have crashed before either from not referencing the instrument or believing the instrument is faulty when it's not. In a heavy workload situation, such as right after takeoff while changing radio frequencies, a pilot may forget to reference the artificial horizon. If they're hand flying the plane, this could develop into a slow roll that they might not even notice. But then why aren't they using the autopilot? There are many reasons for delaying enabling the autopilot, but one of them is to make sure the autopilot is set up correctly. If the autopilot wasn't set up correctly, it might start descending the plane into the ground or turning into a direction the pilots don't want, such as into terrain. Delaying activation of the autopilot gives the pilots time to correct any issues the autopilot might induce when it's turned on. But even if they did activate the autopilot, it still might have caused the crash. Several pilots have pointed out issues with the plane's gyroscopic-based artificial horizon as well as its yaw damper. If the artificial horizon was giving faulty information, the pilots might have believed that they were in level flight climbing even when they weren't. The autopilot uses those gyroscopes to help fly, so it's possible the autopilot thought it was doing the correct thing even though it wasn't. Add in those sensory illusions from earlier and everyone on board, including the autopilot, might have been completely blindsided. But there's still another possibility, and that's a control anomaly. If the flight controls became jammed, it could cause the plane to slowly start rolling in one direction. The Learjet 55 uses manual controls with the exception of electric trim on the aileron and elevator. If those trims shorted and ran away, it could eventually make the plane uncontrollable. If one of the flaps retracted successfully but the other didn't, in a split flap situation, it could induce a roll. As of this afternoon, the NTSB has announced that they've retrieved the cockpit voice recorder. They're also looking to recover data from the ground proximity warning system that may include telemetry data very similar to a flight data recorder. The initial report is due within 30 days.